Okay. I got the 4 bolts on the exterior inner side of the fender started, and I'm not gonna actually, it's lined up quite well, so I think we'll run these down. Not super tight. Well, there you have it. Okay, now the first bolts that I'm going to tighten tight are the bolts inside here for the seam, so that the fender doesn't move. And then I'll work to the nose after that to tighten. Now we still have plenty of work to do because of all of the, the bracket stuff that has to go in, the battery, and the air intake stuff, which I have to drill holes for. So we're not done, but we are done in the sense that it's essentially on. And so now, as I said, I'm going to tighten the bolts all up, and then we'll get into the other stuff of wrapping up this install. But I'm very happy that the hood went on without too much of a fight. Listen to me, the hood, that was a Freudian slip, because we have to lower the hood to make sure the alignment looks good. And I'll set up the camera a little bit differently so you can see that in a moment. In fact, I think I'll do that before I start tightening all the bolts, because you're not going to be able to see that. There's, it's just not going to work. So, anyway, so that's what I'll do. I'll set up the camera so that we can see the hood come down, and whether or not it lines up correctly with the fender in its current disposition. But the fender down at the bottom, where the fender meets the tub, is lined up pretty close. Might have to come up maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and that's it. So let me set the camera up and show you that. Before we lower the hood, I just wanted to share with you my approach to getting the bottom of the fender, the new fender, to line up with the tub. I talked about this when I installed the driver's side, but I didn't actually show it. So this is what I did. I used my hydraulic jack and a block of wood to get the fender flush on the bottom of the chassis. And I'm going to leave it there until the bolts are fully tightened. And now I'm going to lower that hood and test it, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, let's lower the hood and see if the hood hits the top of the fender. Looks pretty good to me. Does it look good to you? It actually looks straighter than the other side. The other side's got kind of a hump in the center. And so the fender could stand to come up more, I think. I'm not an auto body expert. I just don't want it to hit. So if the line isn't completely straight, And when I take it in for repainting, if the auto body guys, if the pros can address that, then great. Otherwise, since it doesn't hit, I'm going to declare that a success. And if there are any auto body experts or anybody knowledgeable in Jeeps who can say, oh my God, that's horrible, or yeah, that's fine, I certainly would welcome your feedback there. So that's it. The hood test passed as far as I'm concerned for now. And we're now going to move on to tighten all the bolts. Bye. Okay, fender's on, the bolts are tight. So now we continue on to put the car back together. And our next little trick here is to reinstall this box. Maybe I should clean it up a bit. I think I'll do that. I'll be right back. Okay, cleaned up, ready to reinstall. Now, it reinstalls one way because, as you can see here, there is a connector. Now, what the hell this thing is, I'm not exactly sure. I think that it is, I've seen this thing described as a vacuum overflow of some kind or another. I'm not sure, but it's a mystery black box, and it's got a connection, and it's air, it's not electricity, so I guess overflow is as good as any description. Now where this thing goes is down here. Where's my light here? Goes down here. Can you see that tab down there? Well, this thing slides into that tab and rests there, and is also held in place by a bolt up top, which we will address later. But so this box has to go in one way, and that is like so. I need to catch that like that, and then this little tube connects to the box like so. And that's it. And now up here we have a hole, and on the inside we have another hole. So we got to put a bolt through that just to secure it, which I can't do with the camera in my hand, so that it kind of is what it is. So, assuming that the bolt goes on and there's no further issues there, the next step is to reinstall the battery tray. And to reinstall the battery tray, first we have to install the battery heat sensor, excuse me, which we will do, and then we will install the tray. And the battery heat sensor gets plugged into that, and then this whole mess here with the box, that's the fuse box, that goes there, but all in due time. We're going to put the battery tray in next. Okay, see you then. Okay, here's my brand new new old stock battery tray. There is part number, and where are my wire cutters? Oh, there they are. So we cut this tag off. And we cut this tag off. And get rid of that. And now let's see if I can do this one-handed. I need to reinstall this sensor, and the connector goes through. That comes off. Okay. Connector goes through like that. Come on. This one-handed shit is not working too well, is it? Okay. And then this sensor. God, well, I don't think the orientation matters much, but the sensor is now in. I have to put this back on and connect that up, and then I can put the battery tray on top, and I need both hands for this, so I'll be back. Okay, let's try to do this one-handed. I've got the connector. There's a little hole back here on the bracket where that connector comes to rest, and now let's just hand screw in these bolts. The bolts are also new. I ordered them off eBay, and of course I have gooped them up generously with anti-seize. Remember, I had to drill these bolts off. Which is not fun. And two more. And last but not least, and snug these. I will tighten them. And this thing shifted all. No, I think we're all set here. Okay, so then I will tighten these 4 bolts down, and that means that we can actually reinstall the battery, but we're not going to do that just yet. I'm going to first reinstall the breaker box, which goes here, and then I can then install the mounting bracket for my cold air intake, which I believe I'm going to have to drill a hole here, and also in the side over here, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But I have to work all that out. But I'm not going to reinstall the battery just yet. The battery's going to go in, well, quote unquote last. And then after we finish with the battery, we're going to deal with these old battery connectors and reinstall something that will be a little bit more friendly towards the auxiliary lighting wiring. So the wiring piece will actually be the last step before this goes on. I don't like these covers. I don't like these covers for these bus bars because it doesn't take a whole hell of a lot to get them to pop off. And I may have to play with that a little bit, because that's definitely something that I don't want happen as the car's driving down the road. Although the connector for the power supply won't allow that cover to go too far, but still it's irritating me. We'll see. Anyhow, so that's kind of the deal. So from a reassembly perspective, from a sheet metal perspective, the bracket's on, the battery tray is on, the fender is on, and so this is all, the fender installation is complete at this point, and now all we have to do is put the accessories on and reconfigure this thing. So it's getting a little bit late, and I think that we're going to finish this up tomorrow, which is going to be a Saturday, and we may very well be driving this Jeep around tomorrow afternoon. Okay, more to come, but we're almost there. Thanks. Bye. Okay, quickly here, I have remounted the the fuse box bracket. It's on nice and solid. I did spray some fluid snot in between the bracket and the fender to discourage corrosion, and in fact, hang on a second, where's my fluid? Now that we've sprayed in between and the bolts are secure, let's spray some more on the top of the nuts. And then over here. Okay, so hopefully that will discourage the rust from re-emerging anytime soon. And now we just, there's the fuse box, and we just press it into place, and it's resecured, and all is well with the world. So bit by bit, we're getting there, folks. We're getting there. And again, as I said before, the next step will be to install my homemade bracket to support the air intake, and I'm not going to do that tonight. It's going to go there, maybe in that hole, but be that as it may, I don't want to rush things and screw something up. So I think this is a good stopping point for tonight, and we will resume tomorrow. So for you, a couple seconds. For me, a hopefully good night's sleep. See ya. Okay, it's the next day. The light is out, and or the sun is out, and a couple footnotes here before I take a break. First, had to remove the battery tray because I forgot to put this bolt in that secures that. Where's my light? That secures the black box in between that bracket. So I removed the tray and I put that bolt in. Obviously that bolt is too long, but that's easily remedied with a Dremel tool. Just cut off the excess. And I drilled the holes for that hole. And can you see it? Where are you? Not sure if you can see it. I can't see it. The camera. All right, there it is. So I drilled that hole, and I drilled that hole. And now what I've done is I've used a little bit of Rust-Oleum enamel paint to paint over the exposed metal, and I'm going to wait for that to dry before I actually put the bracket on, which is right here. It's a little homemade bracket that I made out of aluminum, and that holds the air intake in place. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to let the paint dry before I put that bracket on, and once the bracket is on, then I think I can get to work on the battery terminals. So we're getting very close here, people. Very close. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay guys, we're getting close. I have redone the battery terminals, the positive and the negative. It's not done yet. The main wires for the starter and to power the car are now hooked up, re-terminated. Not so sure about that one, but anyway, they're fastened. They haven't come off. They seem to be have a good electrical connection, and we still have to put these covers on, which I will do. But I wanted to just make sure that everything was okay. The next thing that I have to do is I have to wire the auxiliaries to here, but this was the first step. I did have a problem with the shrink wrap here. The shrink wrap was a little bit too close to the heat source, and so it shrunk and wrapped farther on down the wire, so I just cut it off. When I'm inspired, I might redo that, but for now, it's going to stay in its crude form. Okay, so as I said before, or the last update, I have put my little homemade bracket on. The air intake is where it's supposed to be. Now I need to put the partition up, which is my next step. And then after I put the partition up, I'm going to wire the positive and negative of the auxiliary lighting to the battery terminals, so that that's all set, and then we can put the battery in. And the other thing that we still have to do down here is we have to reinstall the blinker, and then the very last thing that we're going to do is reinstall the side flare, which has the side marker light on it, which also this wiring harness supplies. Hopefully I can find where I put that bulb. But anyway, we're getting there. It's not much longer before this car, for the front fender replacement exercise, can be declared completed. So onward to the next set of tasks. Okay, people, quickie update here. The engine side of the compartment of the install is of the fender is now done. I have wired up my new battery terminals. This was actually a tedious job, and I didn't have the right shrink wrap, so I had to take a trip to Lowe's. And I had a problem with the one shrink wrap, which I mentioned before, which will irritate me until the point where I go back and I redo that. But the cold air intake is back on, and everything is secure and buttoned up, partitions on, bolted in place, and still to-dos. I still have to cut this bolt off in here, and I have to install the blinker light and wire. But I think that that may wait for tomorrow. It may wait for later in the evening. It's 7 o'clock. I haven't had anything to eat all day. I'm hungry, and I don't want to continue to work at this point, because being hungry and whatnot, I'll make a mistake and that I'll regret. So I'm going to pause here. Maybe I'll come back and do the blinker after dinner. Maybe I'll just lay back and wait until tomorrow, because there's nothing I'm gonna be doing with the Jeep tonight anyway. So what do I have left? I have to wire the blinker and the side lamp. I have to install the flare, and I have to cut off that overlong bolt, and then I have to put the tire back on and take the car off the jack stand, fire it up, and take it for a spin. And it couldn't have happened any later or any sooner, because the Avalanche has developed a problem as of last night, where the oil sending sensor is not working, And at least that's my diagnosis, since I was driving along and didn't notice the engine warning light that was on. So the engine didn't blow up. So I've got oil pressure, but the oil sending sensor is not, oil pressure sending sensor is not sending senses. So I've already done a little bit of research, and that's going to be a total pain in the ass to replace. But at least my car didn't blow up, the Avalanche anyway. So, and hopefully this car won't blow up either. So anyway, I'll show you the blinker and the fender flare and all that shortly. Bye. Okay, we're going to install the blinker together. And the first step in the blinker install is to insert these plastic retainers, which I removed and quite easily from the previous rotted fender. You can see all you have to do is get a pair of needle nose pliers, squeeze them together, and they pop right out. So let's pop them back in. There's one. And there's two. Okay, they seem secure. They're not popping back out. So then we take our dirty lens and we're going to orient the printing on the lens so that it's on the bottom. And I think that you can only put it in one way based on these tabs here and here. So I put it in like that, and then we have two screws that are Torx screws. I don't know if they're original to the car because I think I'm the third owner, at least for this vehicle. So who knows if these screws are original, but they are Torx bits. And let me see what the Torx size is here. T15. And so it's a simple exercise of screwing in microlite. We're screwing into plastic here, so there's no need to over tighten. But that is fully secure. And now we reinstall the blinker light. So we disconnected, I disconnected the blinker light because you could not get the wire harness out through the hole in the fender without removing it. And there's the wire, there's the end of the wire harness, but that goes to the side marker light. And I think I will reorient the camera to show you what I'm doing. So stand by. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So first we take the wire harness, and we have a little retainer here, which is a tie wrap, and we push that back where it came from. And then we have our light bulb connector, and I believe it can only go on one way, and that's the way that it goes on. Make sure it's secured. And then here's the back of the blinker. A little bit of persuasion there, but not too bad. Of course, the camera's in my way. this. I can't see. Where are those tabs? There we go. Oh. There. And we just give it a turn, and it is now secure. Okay, so the blinker is installed, ready to rock and roll, and now we have to put the fender flare on. And before we can put the marker light back in, where are you, marker light? There you are. So the next step is to install the fender flare. I'm not going to do that on camera because it's quite fiddly. And so it will take a while to get that all situated, and so you'll see the aftermath of me installing the fender flare. Okay, onward to the next update. Okay, quickie update. Before I put the fender flare on, I also have to cut this bolt to size. Wanted to just show you the reinstallation of this guard or flashing or whatever you call it. I bought replacement retainers, I guess. They're 1/4 inch shield something or other, but I got them off eBay. I got them as part of a kit. So there's one here. There's another one here, there's another one here, and where's my light? There's 3 more, there, and there, and I had the orientation of the wiring harnessing correct. So originally I had this clip down here, realized that was wrong because the flashing goes there. So I moved it up to another hole here, and then that means that the wiring harness routes around this little metal piece and goes behind it, where if you recall from the previous update, I had this retainer on this inboard side or wheel side, and it actually goes on the opposite over here. So I moved that, and so now we have our wiring harness still oriented, and we are going to be missing a retainer, but we'll just use a tie wrap when that time comes. And so I just wanted to show you how this flashing was oriented. It'd take me a minute or two to kind of figure it out. It goes underneath the brake line, I guess to protect it from chafing, what have you. And so that's that little chore done. So onward. Before I do the fender flare, because it'll be easier to get to, I'm going to take care of that bolt and cut it off. Okay, onward, upward. Another quickie update. I just wanted to show you the inside of the fender flare, because when I took this off, I found that the end mounting point here was pretty badly fractured and partly peeled away, if you will. So I used some JB Weld to refasten everything together. Nobody's ever going to see this on the exterior. I do plan on replacing these fender flares, but not until after when the car is repainted, and I'm not sure when that will be. Maybe this year, might be next year. That's a $3,000 to $5,000 bill, and so when I've got that money lying around, that's when this car will go in the shop. And that doesn't even count, I don't think, the body work that it's going to need. Straighten out a few dents on the hood and the areas of rust that need to be fixed one way or another. And of course, there's also the torque boxes on both sides, which are in pretty bad shape. So anyways, that's all going to take fairly decent amount of money, which I don't have lying around right now. So we're going to use what we have when we can. I am going to use what I have when I can, and replace parts as money becomes available. So we're not working with unlimited budgets here. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you that I had to do a little bit of repair work on this fender flare in order to get it to reattach properly. And oops, and that's it. To the next update. Okay, people, let's do a quickie here before I put the tire on. I got just a couple things left to do. I need to put the hood tie downs on, but I have to remove it from the old fender first because I don't have new ones yet, haven't ordered them. But let's just take a look at the final finished kind of a deal here. Put the step back on. I wouldn't consider it a step. It's a little flimsy, but fender flare is on. I think it looks good relative to its age and general state of batteredness. Marker light is wired, and so we're done here, and this thing will be rolling in a short time. I did put fluid film on the outer hub because I've got aluminum rims, and that's a problem over the long term. Maybe the fluid film will keep things relatively okay for a little while. And then of course here we have the inside of the wheel well, with everything now fully secured and ready to go. And on to the next adventure. There is a next adventure. And over here I did cut that bolt off. That was too long. And so we're ready to put the tire on. We're ready to get this off the jack stand. I have one more thing to do besides the putting the tire on, which is I need to put my sidebars, whatever those things are called, the steps on, and return the body mount bolts to where they are. I'm going to put them on tight, but not super tight, because again, the torque boxes are quite delicate right now. So I will put that Rampage bar step back on with the body bolts and body mount bolts, whatever, and then we're good to go here. So that's it. I think that we're wrapped as far as this passenger side fender project goes. Everything is in its place. Hopefully when I reconnect the battery, the car won't explode. And like I said, on to the next project. Thanks for watching this video series. I hope there's something in here that you got out of it, and that it did not just turn